So, first question is, and I don't think you guys can answer this very well because it's kind of hard to know. On a percentage scale, where are we in terms of completion on either the 777 V2 or 787?
Sensor scale. I'm
Roman,
not sure.
will we answer this?
Yeah, I mean, I can try. So we have been quite open lately with.
I have to
Yes.
say, it's quite. It will be quite useless because there is some theory that 18% of product takes 20% of time, and
Yeah.
20% of products takes 18% of time.
Yes, it's the theory is called 80-20. Sure.
Yeah.
The question. Okay, so if I guess the question is percentage of time completion, not of actual product completion, because people care about time. It's kind of hard to say. I can say that. Okay, so if you look at the necessary things for completion, so things which we deem to be absolutely necessary for the plane to be called the 777 and be shipped, then from what I have taken upon myself to do, I think everything is done, which is good because I can spend time doing weird stuff like guys standing around the plane holding hands, which was, by the way, was randomly generated places. Generally, it's quite hard to say. I don't know. My feeling is that we are about 80% complete. But again, Dennis is right that it's not linear. It's hard to say. We have been working for X months. It's 80%. Therefore, it's 0.2/08. So it's not like that. But we are getting there. I mean, the aircraft looks like an aircraft, already flies, has, I guess, most of the system are at least.
Roman feels it 80%, I feels it 60-70%. It's useless information because of 80-20, because of very not accurate times and etc. For example, I can say FMS is not done for the very moment.
Plus, we don't know when you guys started on this project. At least I don't know. So that also plays a big role, right?
Again, the question of started is also a complicated one because we are a big team and some people haven't been working on it at all. And some started a long time ago. So I guess we have been working for a year. I would say most of the team has been working on this plane for a year. Well, I mean on those two planes because they are kind of connected and there's a lot of things we are doing both. Yeah, we are waiting on the FMC to be completed. That's a must. Also the sounds are kind of we haven't shown any sounds. We haven't posted anything because it's all kind of in the process. And other stuff, that I've mentioned in the big presentation on the expo. Again, all the parts are there, but most of them need to get to the 20%, the last 20%.
For example, guys, for the moment, I believe we can say it. We had plans to start alpha testing in February, in this month, but we are not succeeded to achieve it.
Basically, as soon as the aircraft autopilot and at least the working FMC for basic flights, we'll be able to start alpha testing with real pilots. I believe it's about 10 people now who are eager to fly the plane and to find bugs. And then we'll more testers. But those things are not complete. We are all working on different things.
Roman, your mic is sometimes cutting out.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm actually wearing earpods, so I don't know.
That might
I
be.
don't.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We heard definitely the most of it, so we know what's going on. We understand that it's hard to know, but you guys are on a good way. You guys are progressing very well, I guess that's how I interpret it. And
Ben, it's like a funny joke. It's a special real-time processor on the Roman voice to hide some special details.
my bad. All right. Next question, I guess. So, we are waiting for new planes like the 777, 787, and updates for the 350, 75, 76, and 320. But do you think new planes like the 747, for example, would come? Probably a simple question answer. Thank you for your hard work.
Well, no. At the moment, there are no plans to work on the 747. Doesn't mean that we won't ever do it. But as the guy who wrote the question mentioned, you are all waiting for everything. You want updates for all the planes. You want new planes, and yeah. So it's important not to stress too thin, and we have not to stretch ourselves too thin. At the moment, we are working basically on two things. Well, okay, on three things. The A320 has its own path and it's progressing. And when there are questions about the A320, I'm probably going to give you some information on what we are doing. We are working on the two models that you know everything about because basically every Friday we post about it. And of course, X-Plane 12 is coming, and some things have changed and some things have been added, and we have to make our current models, which is the A320, A350, and the 5767 at least, work well with X-Plane 12. So we are also working on that. We are working on new engines and aerodynamic models because things have changed and you have to retune them, and some 3D changes, minor stuff, but just to make things work nicely in the new X-Plane, which is great. Very happy with it.
I believe, Roman, the question was about some different things. About do we have some plans on new project?
I answered that. At the moment, no. There are too many. I mean, there's not enough things at the moment. So after the 7, 8, and triple are released, we will see where we're going.
Okay.
The project, it might be updates for the 5767 to the same level as triple. So we'll see.
Roman, really, your sound is very broken. Do something.
My sound is very broken.
Your internet or Wi-Fi or Bluetooth connection. I don't know.
I don't know, but I hear Roman perfectly. I hear everything he say.
Oh. Oh yeah.
So Ben, they stressed that the problem on all sides.
Yeah, for me it's broken too. Well, to keep it going, a question for Roman. Yes?
Sure.
Do you have any plans for any more future type ratings? Or maybe not just you, but maybe somebody else would like to get a type rating?
Yes. Okay. So yes, I have a plan. Yes, I have a plan. So my plan for the type rate. Okay, for the other people, I have a plan. So, as most our users know, probably, a long time ago, FlightFactor was started by Philip and me, and neither of us were pilots. And then at some point, Philip went to the States and got his private pilot license, and then so forth and so forth. And then at some point, he became a CFI. I already was a pilot in Europe, and he was my instructor for instrument training, and he was my instructor for commercial. And actually, hopefully next month, I'm getting a US and FAA CFI, and he's going to be my instructor for that. So I want to kind of kind of continue this tradition. And I've been insisting for years now that Dennis get his private pilot license. Now I'm a flight instructor in Europe already, so I can teach him. So my plans for others in the team is, at least for Dennis, after the 777 is released, to get his private pilot license. And then we'll see where we go from there. In terms of actual type ratings, I would be interested in getting type rating on a 7.8 to get more in touch with the plane and to get to know it. At the moment, it's not really possible. Type rating is not something that you go to a school and just get. You need to find a school that is willing to give it to you and to teach you, and you need to be at least 2 people. So it's not that easy. So it took me a year to find where to get the 777 rating and on the partner. They had to go to people. So it's not that easy. But yeah, I would very much.
So I'm going to solve to make Roman not able to find me to teach me.
What? You're
To
going to
make
hide?
me the pilot.
Well, I can't make you a pilot, but I mean, it would be nice for you to become a pilot.
Oh, if Dennis rejects, I'll take it.
Okay, sure.
That's a sarcasm.
Not really.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I assure you, it's not. All right. So yeah, no, not a real plan, but I'm kind of looking into it. It would be nice to do this by the end of the year or something. I was trying to convince Philip to do it with me, but so that's.
All right. Next question. So the question actually is specific about different aircraft types that you guys were asking if you would make these. I guess I'm going to reiterate a little bit and then say that, or reform it and ask, you guys plan on making more Airbus aircraft, or are you guys only focused on Boeing?
Well, FlightFactor likes Boeing more like Airbuses. Or Airbus's projects are very special. 320 is very special project for us, and 380 again very special because it's not professional on release.
380 what? 350.
380.
We don't have a 380.
Oh, sorry, 350. 350, you're right. It's again very special project for us because it was on some special precondition and was not professional product in our line of products. So we have no plans to do more Airbuses for the very moment.
Okay. So next question is, again, I'm going to reformulate a little bit. Do you have any more plans to optimize the A320 for more performance, or has it already been done, or has that already been done as much as possible?
Vale, should I answer that?
Yeah. We already answered this question many times.
Yes.
No, well, okay. So
I think, in fact, we think always think how to optimize it. But for now,
well, I can give you some more specific stuff if you want. I think it's okay. So since the last time we did one of those podcasts, how you call this?
Let's
Q&A
to speak, Roman.
He doesn't want to.
In fact, I will answer that I already said about this. Maybe Roman have new information.
Yeah, well, okay, so...
From Michael, for example.
Well, yes, so all of you know that Michael exists, right? So he is hiding. At some point, he decided he doesn't want to be a public figure anymore and so forth. So he has been working on some stuff, and some stuff I don't want to talk about it, and some stuff hasn't been completed. But one of the things that he has been exploring is a new way to draw stuff. And when he finishes working out all the details, and we'll be able to implement that in A320 and maybe in points, and that should give a nice boost. The real frame rate boost that I would like to do would involve Michael redoing the aerodynamic model, which is something he kind of wants to do, but he has other stuff that he wants to do, and it's very complicated. It's unclear how to do that. So to answer your question, no, it hasn't been optimized to its maximum, obviously. And Vlad is working his end on minor stuff, and Michael is working on those big changes that might be made or should be made. Probably.
So please stop these gossips like Michael left us and etc. Michael is here.
Yes, he is. It's here. He is working.
I don't know where he is because Denis is in Moscow and Valentin is in Siberia and Michael moved somewhere to the Black Sea. So he's here, like on the planet Earth. But yes, he is in contact every day. I mean, we talk all the time. Michael, okay.
Next question would be regarding the 787. Now we do see a lot of 777 updates on Twitter, which is very nice, but we haven't seen much of the 787. Once in a while, like once every month, we see a little update of the 787. Is there any plans to showcase more on the 787?
Sure. The thing is that, I mean, I guess people want to see something they understand. I mean, pictures of things, usable things. So at the moment, the most of the work on which is unique to the 787. So obviously, there's a lot of work which is not unique. All the ground stuff that I've been working on, and I don't actually mean the people themselves, right? People are just to be there, just to give you a feeling that you are not alone in the airport. But all the ground maintenance, all of this multi-crew stuff, all of that is common to both planes. But because the 777 3D model is more along the lines of being finished, it's easier to showcase all the common stuff with the 777. So that's why you kind of see more of 777, though, when we show some ground stuff or something else or checklists or anything else like that. It's all common, but you just see it in the 777. So at the moment, the stuff that's being done for the 787 are the more complicated screens, all the monitors and the FS system that can be reconfigured. And there is we have like this guy who's working on that. He's very precise, unlike me. So he can put the numbers where they're supposed to be and measure pixels. So when he rolls out those things, you will get to see them. And when the 3D guys finally roll out their stuff, you will also get to see it. Everything else is basically common. I mean, it's hard to show the electrical system without having the monitor, or the maintenance monitor or something like that, because we could show you code, and sometimes we do. Sometimes Denis posts parts of code, but you want to see something that you can touch with your hands, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
My favorite comment below our Twitter post about unit testing I did is BrainXE stopped to work.
Yeah, there's a question on the chat whether we have checked out the quality of PMDG 777 and quality Wing 787, and I can answer that.
Yes, please.
Well, I haven't, and there is a reason why I never do this. Denis does check out everything, and he knows what's going on. I don't, because I don't want to kind of repeat things. I wouldn't say rip off, but if I see something that I like, I'm going to automatically want to do the same. And it doesn't mean that I'm copying, but if you see something nice and then you want to do the same, but if you see it, you end up doing something very similar. So this was kind of the idea. I didn't go look at those products because I wanted to make something which I feel is the best thing that I can do. And then, when I say I mean all the team and so forth. So no, specifically I don't go look at it. I don't want to.
Okay.
But we are doing some stuff which I don't think any of them have. Again, we have basically said everything about all the features that we are planning to do on the presentation in Expo. And some of it is actually harder to do than I thought. But it's going to be interesting. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next question, I think we already answered, but I think it's good to just be clear one last time. And the question is, how many devs are actually working on the A320? And the complaint is that it's moving unacceptably slow. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the slow and not slow, it's a question of the stage of the plane. So if you look at, for example, at the 757, it's moving even slower, right? Why? Because it's at a stage where basically it's done. It's it's fulfilled all the stuff that we wanted it to have. So any further development, just things that we want to add sometimes and so forth. So A320 is, well, I wouldn't say it's at the same stage, obviously, but it's also not where the 777 is. So to answer the question, Valentin is working 100% of the time on the A320. Michael is working, I would say, 30% of the time on the plane, and the other 70% on things around it. So like on this, like new drawing platform and other things. And we have another guy named Ilya who has joined us, I think a couple of months ago, who is a active A320 pilot and a programmer, and he is also working full time now at night, basically, because he flies during the day and then he works at night on the A320. The reason why it feels
so guys, what more do you want? We have real pilot of
yes, we're very happy with
working
him.
as developer on our 320.
Yeah, I'm very happy with the guy. He's awesome. He knows the plane, obviously, and he's enthusiastic. He's been flying in the Sims forever. It's really nice. I mean, he's what I would have liked to be, right? I went the other way around, and I probably won't fly the real airplane anytime soon. But he's like he came basically from both worlds at the same time. The reason why it might feel that things are moving slow is there are some issues. For example, Mac has granted us with this nice new version, which has taken Valentin, I think, a month of actual work to get the plane working there. So this is those setbacks which you don't expect. So you plan that you're going to work on a feature for the next month, and then whatever Monterey comes along, and you have to fix everything because something has changed. And the next plane 12 is coming, and there are also things for the A320 that will have to be done for plane 12 for it just to work. Laminar is indeed are helping us, but still, it's work that has to be done. And there is another thing that we are doing with the A320 at the moment, which I really don't want to talk about, which also takes part of the time, which is something that you're going to like in the end, and you're going to be happy about it.
Okay. Sounds exciting. Man. All right. So next question is there any intention when you order fuel or want to start boarding, is there any way that it is done in real time, or you would have to contact someone through ACARS, for example, instead of just putting it in an EFB and then it instantly loads?
Okay.
So the original question, it's not like that.
No, it's not. But I don't know if Roman would understand it.
What? There's a question that why wouldn't Roman understand?
No. The original question is like, would you like to make a fuel request like hot start in Challenger via Jenny?
Yes, Roman won't understand because Roman doesn't know how other planes work.
No, I don't know if you follow the people.
I see. I think I do. Is this FBO thing?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know Sasko personally. It's fine.
Okay.
Yes. So the idea that he used I liked it, by the way. I was made by Dennis, physically made. He sent me this link and said, "Watch it. You have to watch." So I watched it, and it's nice. I mean, it does look like in. I mean, I fly in the United States, and you go to the FBO and you write it. You know, I want those services. I don't know. I saw the fuel, but I don't know if it has like love services and all the other crap that you can request, like clean my windshield and get me some water and stuff like that. Obviously, doing something similar to the 777 would be crazy because the way the airliner works is different. But as I said 6 months ago, or whatever it was, 4 months ago on the expo, we are doing something similar. So when we are trying to build features for this plane, where I'm at least thinking all the time about how they teach at the 142 schools, how they teach young pilots who haven't been flying for the airlines yet, about the whole process of preparing the flight and communication and all of this. So to answer the specific question, yes, all the services. All right, I think I can talk about. So some of the things that I'm going to say are not done yet, but they will be. So I'm confident that I can say it. So basically, all the services that you can request, which include fuel, all those loves, water, maintenance stuff. So everything, which is not a C check basically, can be ordered by the user who plays the role of the captain and the pilot flying. So at the moment we are not thinking about changing roles. You are the captain and you are pilot flying. So you can request all those services through the EFB, and the pictures of this have been posted. And there you can set up the time that it takes to do it. So it can be instantaneous, but the right way to do it is not instantaneous, actually. The right way to do it is to set up a time factor. If you want to do it as real life, you can, but it takes quite a while to load 500 passengers into 300, for example. Or load, 120 tons of fuel if you want for the flight. So yes, this is all implemented, and you can choose the time factor, and all this stuff will happen. And obviously, you've seen all those service vehicles and the people around it. So we are trying to imitate all of this stuff as precisely as we can, while thinking of a student pilot. So what would a school want to show a student pilot for him to learn how that works? I can give an example, Dennis, you don't mind, with the fuel? I like it. It hasn't been done. Well, no, I implemented it a couple of weeks ago. There is this thing that people do in big airlines with the 777 and 787, which you can't do with the A320. So when you are being fueled, you can request, and for example, United Airlines, where I've done my ATP, they have it as part of their standard procedures. When the flight is going through the northern regions, for example, through the North Pole, where the temperatures are lower than usual, so they can go into -60s, they will request the fuel service to give a sample of the fuel. Now, the sample of the fuel is being sent to a laboratory, and the lab checks what is the freezing temperature. It's not really called the freezing temperature because jet fuel doesn't freeze, but it becomes non-liquid. So they find this temperature for this exact batch of fuel, and this takes about 3 hours, and then they CPDLC this to the plane, which is already on the way to the North Pole, and then the pilots get this information and they update through the FMC their minimum fuel temperature. So when they fly through the colder parts near the North Pole, the plane monitors the temperature, the actual temperature of the fuel, comparing this to the actual temperature of this batch of fuel being frozen. And then if you get within 3 degrees, you get this message, and then you have to change altitudes because the fuel might freeze. Now, we've implemented this procedure. So when you're fueling, you can actually request this, and then 3 hours later, hopefully the CPDLC will be done by the time the plane is released. You will get this message from the I don't know, whatever, the virtual center, or the lab, or whatever, from us,
from FlightFactor laboratory.
Yeah, you will get this from Flight. So I don't want to say the company because you might be flying, online, and you have your own company and you have your own communication. So you'll get it like from us, and then you can update the fuel temperature in the FMC. So those things, I think I never knew this can work. This is done. I mean, I've been into planes since, I don't know, I was 16, and I've been using X-Plane since X-Plane 7, and I've been making planes for 10 years. I had no idea that there are procedures like this. So we're trying to implement all those small things. So yes, you will be able to ask for all those services through the EFB, and there's going to be an alternative way of doing this through the well, I guess we might implement this through kind of AHARS or not. We'll see. But there is a plan to have kind of this duality where you can, if you want, you use this EFB and then you manually call for things, or you can just use either the CDU or the AHARS. We'll see for basically the same services, but without all the visuals. It's just to make it for someone more real, because in real life some of this stuff obviously is not done through the EFB.
So the short summary: Hot Start made it realistically for business jets. We will make it realistically for airlines.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. And yeah, I don't know if you knew about Jenny or about Hot Start, so I wasn't sure. Plus, I know you don't make comparisons. Like you said with PMDG, you don't like to make comparisons with other people. So I assumed. So that's why I asked it differently.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's fine. I've seen this because Dennis made me see it, and it was there. I mean, it was nice.
Okay.
It looks interesting.
All right. Very nice. Sounds. I mean, I didn't know that either. About the fuel sample. That's a really cool fact to know, and that you guys actually went that far to implement it. That's pretty amazing. All right. So since you're also working on the 787, we've already been asked this before. Will you be also working on a 777X variant one day?
Yes, sure.
Sure.
777X will be released as extension for base package of 7.
Wait. Why? Why? Okay, I don't know where he gets this. So obviously we are going to be releasing extensions to the 777, to the first 777 that we release, as usual, because it makes sense from every point. So the 777X is very interesting. It's obviously hybrid between the 777 and the 787. At the moment, we don't really have enough info. So, for example, I have no idea. Dennis somehow knows that it's going to be an extension. I don't.
I think it will be, but yes, I agree with you, because
it might be a separate model.
It might be. It's such that as our plans for the very moment. But yes, it can be a separate product. No one know for now.
It's very simple. If it's we try to do this the most fair way possible. So if something is enough work for it to be a separate model, it's going to be a separate model. If it's something which is feels like an extension, basically, it's going to be an extension. So we have enough extensions for the customers to know how it works.
The main idea, yes, we have plans eventually to make 777X. Yeah, somehow.
Well, Qatar has ordered what? I don't remember the number. I think the contract is 240 billion or some crazy number for, I don't remember, 40, 20, some huge number of 777X8Fs. Well, we have to make those. I mean, if they are making
that's Roman. That's the next question.
Oh, really? About the 777 X7, 8X. No, sorry, F. So many letters.
No. The next question about 777-300 ERSF.
Well, okay, is there a big difference between SF and the ER?
I don't know.
No, there isn't. Look, yes, obviously the plan is eventually within the run of this 777 to have all the possible logical models. So when I say logical, I mean, look, we usually we charge some money for those extensions. So I think that when other planes came out, we didn't charge money for extra engines, but we did charge money for like what the fuselages changed and dynamics changed. So 777 has a lot of variants, and obviously we're not going to charge for every variant.
Let's say it's simple. If we have enough documentation for a specific model, we will try to do it.
Yes, that's correct. So what I wanted to say that if so for example, if we have the 300 ER and we have the regular 300 and we have the 200 ER, then doing the 200, the first one, the old one, well, if it makes sense, we might do it, but I doubt we'll charge for it. So because it's just taking parts from other planes and connecting them. So it's always a decision of, okay, do we want to spend the time? And when we spend the time, do we want to charge for it? Because, people won't be happy because we don't want to charge for basically the same stuff. So I can't promise that all the models will be done because there's, 12 different ones. But obviously, Dennis, have we set which one the first will be? That's not English. Something is broken in my head. Did we announce what the first one?
777-200 ER.
Okay, so if we haven't announced before, then here it is. So we'll start with 200 ER. So obviously we'll do the 300 ER, probably the 300 LR, and the freighter. They go together because it's basically the same model. And then we'll see about the specific things like SF. Or the old 200. I think I don't even know where to find one in real life. I mean, they're quite old now.
I have a side question. Looking at the images, I guess you guys are modeling the GE engines first. Since the ER has 3 different engine variants, will they all be modeled, and will they all come out after a few months? Like, are they all planned on release day, or are they going to come out over a time period?
A time period. The first base package will include one engine.
And that is probably the GE, if that is able to be confirmed? Okay.
Yes, it will be GE as announced already.
Okay.
Yes. And I think the 3D guys are working on 4 different engines at the same time. Okay. Well, yeah, because if you actually look at the table in Wikipedia, you'll find that there are 4 engines that being used. Because there are 2 Gs. There's a GE.
Oh yeah, okay.
The G, the 95, and then the 100 and 150.
Yes, okay. I was confused, but yeah, okay, I knew about that. Yeah. I was just about to ask something else, but now I forgot. So we'll just continue on the list, unless there's anything else to add.
No, it's okay. Somebody is writing, please don't charge for engine variants. We won't charge for engine variants.
All right. Any plans on modeling engine wobble during takeoff or even landing?
Engine what?
Wobbling.
What is wobble in Russian? Probably.
Like when the engine wobbles. Like vibrates.
No, I understand wobble. Yes, thank you.
Качание, колебания.
I'm trying to find the actual name of the effect because wobbling is not, well, I guess buffeting or something like that. Look, again, the philosophy of this new generation of models and all those puffy words. The philosophy is we are trying to model, first of all, the things, effects, and situations which are relevant when a pilot is learning to fly this airplane. The reason why we are coming from this edge is because I went this way, and I see why they're teaching this and not that. So effects which are not kind of parts of any procedures, they're kind of hard to model and hard to understand what to do with them, because then, okay, engine flame out. Okay, there is a procedure. It's written everywhere. It's all the study material. You can learn how that works. You can see what happens. Engine wobbling on takeoff. Not sure what that really is.
It's just Roman. It's just, as I understand, it's just a visual effect when they are wobbling during takeoff, like wing flex.
Well, no, but
anyway, Ben C, who asked about this, please send me PM with some videos where we can see this wobbling engines, and we will look at this and see what we can do.
If it's a visual effect only, that's easy. Send us some material where we can see it, and we'll do it. That's very easy. If you want something specific in terms of how the engine behaves, or something which is not usual, not written somewhere, then if you have the material, also send it. I mean, I had like 2 weeks ago, I was in a good mood, and I wanted to model the situation where a plastic cone is being ingested by the engine. I didn't, but I wanted to.
Just because such effects, it's not major priority for us, because we trying to focus on things like pilot see. So on takeoff, you are in cockpit. You cannot see any wobbling engines as a pilot.
Yes, as a pilot, 777, you can only see the engine if you open the window. And you might be surprised to learn that it is indeed possible to open, and actually legal, to open the window on the 777 while in flight at the unpressurized below, I think, 205 knots.
So, guys, send me some videos in PM. We will look at this.
Nice. All right. So next question, and this is a question that I also find very, very interesting and important, actually. The question is, will the 787 and 777-2 have auto step climb functionality?
Okay, I believe it's a question for me. As I remember correctly, I may be wrong. Boeing's philosophical Boeing's doesn't have auto step climb functionality, because pilot have to do some action to start step climb in any situation. If FMS suggest the step climb, or pilot enter specific step climb on specific waypoint, to start this step climb, pilot should make some actions, should reset the pre-selected altitude on MCP to the new altitude for step climb.
Mm-hmm.
And this is obviously will be simulated, will be developed. But I'm not sure about auto step climb.
I don't know if because I do fly 777 and 787 and all that, like PMDG and stuff. And the reason why this is very important for long haul people, like I sometimes do, is because we like to sleep at night. So we normally do like 16-hour flights, and then we sleep in between it. And because the flight plan has step climbs in it, you don't want to wake up and then have to do the step climb. So this is where this auto step climb functionality comes in, which also PMDG has.
Okay. As I said above, FMS is not done. It's not fully done, so I'm not reading about this feature probably. If such feature is really exist in the real plane,
no.
Step climb without any pilot.
It does not. No.
Okay. I got it.
Yeah, it's a user thing.
It's just a similar option for.
Yes, correct.
For long flight. Okay. Yes, I believe we will do it then.
Yes.
It's not. It's easy to do. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is it's going to be one of the options, right? Because we
Yeah.
we need to keep real.
It will be a not realistic option. Okay, we will do it.
Correct. Yeah, it's not nothing that Boeing officially made. It's just a user tool.
Well, we have an option for the captain's seat to automatically adjust to the height of the pilot. It's also something the Boeing doesn't have, but it's nice to use.
Yes, it will be option, not like in 757 when you cannot disable it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the problem with the seat is with some people. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we already had this question, but I'll ask it, I guess, again. Will there be updates for frame improvements for the 320, since it apparently is still very laggy?
Again.
Yes, again. But I think we already answered that for just a simple say, yes, there are always plans to improve FPS, but for now there are different, obviously there are different priorities and also obstacles that always come. For example, with Mac, there are always obstacles where something...
The moment X-Plane 12 and Macintosh, yes, those are the most important.
Yes. All right. Your team did a fabulous job on the 7576 series. Are there any features from the aircraft that will be implemented into the 777 V2?
I believe all the features are fit to 777 V2 will be implemented.
Okay, so if the question is about actual code being transferred, the answer is no.
No.
If the question is about
no one line of code of old models copied to the new project.
Well, okay, actually, I think I copied some code when I started the click system, but yeah. So yes, all the features. So obviously, the real things which real aircraft have. If it hasn't, it hasn't. In terms of things like this iPad that we have, so here we have the EFB, and I think that every feature, which we had in the 57 has been also developed for the triple, but most have been more expanded upon. So there we had like the simple way of seating passengers in seats, for example. So you could just choose your CG, and so you could choose your weights and then kind of distribute the passengers. And here there are like many options. You can decide where the seats are and what kind of seats you want. So we at the moment I think we have 5 different configurations where you can actually choose. I want 3 lines of first class seats, and then I want 5 lines of business class seats, and then I want the regular seats, and all of that. And then once you configure, you can decide what kind of passengers you want. So in the ICAO standard, there are those things like winter passengers, summer passengers. Weights are a bit different. Or you can set your own, like some airlines do, your own standard, and then you can add all kind of weights for business and first class, and all of that stuff. And then when you actually decide how many passengers you want on the seat, they'll be actually generated. So somewhere the plane will know that the us in this specific seat is a kid, is a woman, is a man, how what's the weight, and all of that will actually influence the CG and everything else. So most of the features, or all the features, I think, have been implemented here, and most have been expanded upon.
I guess an additional question I would have to that is,
Roman, please be more precise on words like we have copied some part of code, because that word can be spread over internet in wrong way. So obviously we have some very, very, very little part of code copied from old project. It's just about some general infrastructure code, not systems or feature or
systems. No.
code.
No, system.
Just some general
Sure.
infrastructure, general architecture code.
Yes, Ben, you had an expansion question on this?
Yes, the expansion question, since you mentioned there are many different configurations possible, and not just for the passenger, for the cabin, but also probably for the cockpit, there are probably also different, variations in instruments and so on and so forth, which you have mentioned, but let's just pretend. Will there be a possibility of having a config file for every single airline or livery that we make, where every livery automatically loads this config file and chooses the correct configuration automatically, for example? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So in terms of the cockpit, unlike the 757, which has been done, redone, remade, upgraded 3 times, the triple...
I can say it more simple. The 777 V2 will be a situation system. So you can save any situation and then load it. So if you save situation with some avionics options, it's a part of
wait a second.
So it will be part of situation, and when you will load it, you load all avionics options.
Okay, so Dennis, I think what the question was asking for is a little bit different, and we haven't thought about it, but I think we can do it. So I'll finish what I was saying. So in terms of the cockpit, the 777 is pretty standardized. So the old planes, like the 200, 300, I think 200 ER, they had in the secondary instruments, they had 3 separate ones. The newer ones have this ISIS one instrument. There are minor differences, but there isn't a lot of choice. There aren't a lot of choice like in the 57. In terms of the cabin, so Dennis, what the guy is asking is, so obviously, yes, you are right. If you make a livery for, I don't know, Air Iberia, you can load this livery with this plane, save the situation, Air Iberia engines off, and then save another one, Air Iberia engines on, and then load each one of them, and you will have your configuration. But that means that you will actually have to do all this work. Now, what they're saying is the cabin is quite easy to manipulate without loading the plane. I mean, you can say, okay, here are the 5 things I need. I want 2-class configuration with 6 rows of business class, and with the rest, I want the coach class. So we could actually make it possible to tie it to the library, and then the user won't have to save anything. They can just say, okay, anything, this library comes always with this text file, and the text file just tells us override your configuration, your default, because Iberia always has those seats. So I think we can do it. It's not hard.
It's obviously can be made. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
We can check what livery loaded and
So you can make. So I guess the way to do it would be if the library has a file next to it that says cabin configuration override.txt with some correct data, then that data will be read and it will override whatever is loaded in any default or non-default.
So Ben, please create a task in the admin and describe the idea for us, okay?
Create a task where?
In the 777 V2 project.
I don't have access to that.
In the Redmine, you have access.
I do?
Don't you?
Yes.
Don't you?
I don't think so. I'll check right now and then I'll let you know. Projects. No, I don't see it.
Okay, write me in the Skype. I give you access.
Okay, thank you. I'll do that. Okay. Let me just find where it was.
That's not difficult. If people want it, which sure, I know.
All right. Where am I? Oh, there it is. All right.
I don't know where you are.
Yes, I'm in Germany.
Okay.
I'm on planet Earth. All right, next question. Adding on this area, are there plans to add a walk-around mode as well as more airline ops, day in the life of a pilot? Like instead of entering fuel and stuff in the EFE, you get a load sheet in the cockpit and interact with the ground crew, etc. For example.
Yes. Yes. Walkaround is already implemented, has 36 different stations with visual and auditory clues. Let's call it like that. And also there is a mode where you can select the plane to have failures in between flights. So when you load the plane, something is missing. For example, an X in the cockpit, or a door has been knocked off somewhere, and then you do the walk around and you find the door. If you don't find it, you fly without a door. Yes.
And pay some attention to ground crew, because ground crew can forget some pins.
Yes,
Ooh.
there's also an option for the ground crew to be able to forget to remove pins or forget to close those hatches. Yes.
So you mentioned that we can contact the ground crew through probably the EFE or the MCDU. Will it also be possible to do it through the interphone push button, so on the ACP?
Well, the way, unfortunately, we don't have a way there is no good solution for the voice thing. So I actually looked into it and gave up pretty soon because I couldn't find a nice way to do voice recognition. So the way you contact, what do you mean through interphone? Interphone is so to use the interphone 777, you need to either use the rocker, and there are two rockers usually on the left yoke, or you just flip the switch on the overhead. But the thing is, you have to talk, and
So you will have some real interface to communication, like in real plane. But once you have established communication via realistic interface, you will have some unrealistic interface to make you able to say something.
Okay. So
without
the way
saying it.
So the way it's going to work, because I really don't like those extra windows that pop up, and we actually have an extra window that pops up where you can ask the Copilot to help you with the procedures. So the way you communicate is yes. So usually, what do? You with the ground crew, you have the interphone, and if he's plugged in, you can either use the rocker or you just flip the switch and you talk to him. With the cabin crew, you communicate by using your third CEU, which is in the aisle stand there. So usually, what you do, you choose there the station where you want to do the beep, and then you say door L5 beep, and then it goes beep there, and she picks up the phone and you talk. So what we are going to do, and I haven't gotten around to actually doing it, that you will be able to do this same thing. So you'll go into the CPU and you're going to click L5 and it's going to go beep, and then she's going to answer, and then you have to talk. And at this point, realism ends because you can't talk. So what you'll be able to do is you'll have like this little in the MCDU this choice of words, and then you push, and then you hear the captain asking whatever he's asking, and her answering, "No, Captain, I'm sorry, we can't do that because we are in the flight." So, yeah. And the other alternative is not to go to MCDU at all. So you go once when you start the flight to establish communication, so to say hello. And once she's answering hello, you can just use the AFB. So you go to AFB and you just, I don't know which example to give. You click on the, I don't know, what do we have there with the cabin crew? Cabin crew is mostly automatic. But for example, with the ground crew, you can say, okay, I want, load passengers. So you can either go into MCDU and call her and she'll answer, and then you choose, okay, begin loading, or you can go to the EFB directly once the communication has been established and just press the button load. And of course, if you don't have the gateway connected, or you don't have the bus, she will say, "I'm sorry, Captain, no, we need the bus," or she'll be sarcastic as usual and she will ask whether we are in Siberia flying on Antonov 2 or something. Yeah, so stuff like that. But there are many ways to communicate, and if you have a question there somewhere about whether you are able to annoy her, yes, you'll be able to ask whether she's done with loading, and you can annoy her.
Okay. Will the 777V2 extensions be exclusive to X-Plane 12, assuming X-Plane 12 releases before then, which it probably will, or will it be included with X-Plane 11 and 12? Or compatible with X-Plane 11 and 12?
We're not sure. I mean, we don't know. We can't even. So we don't know when we are going to release the plane because we are not confident enough to set dates for ourselves.
Yes.
We don't know when X-Plane 12 is going to be final because, I mean, it seems to be moving along nicely, but we really don't know. So I think I can confidently say that the plane will be compatible with X-Plane 11 for sure. I don't see, well, hopefully I don't see a situation where we are so late that there won't be a point to be compatible with X-Plane 11. In terms of extensions, it's just too soon to say. No idea.
The plan is to have 777V2 compatible with 11 and 12 both. The plan.
No, but they ask about extensions. So at some point, obviously, we're going to move to X-Plane 12 only, and there are reasons for this. X-Plane 12.
It's far future. Nobody knows.
Yeah, nobody knows. But X-Plane 12 has some things which are not backward compatible, which we would like to use. For example, F mode version 2, for example. So if you move to X-Plane to F mode version 2, anything after that point can't be backward compatible because it won't be used in X-Plane 11.
Yes, mostly sure that 777V2 will have different feature list for 12 and 11.
Okay.
A little bit, especially in visual, I believe.
Okay. Will there be Livery on the 777V2 for X-Plane 11 since X-Plane 12 has its own engine?
Librain?
A Livery or Librain?
Okay, Librain. For XP12, obviously no, because Librain is included into XP12. So no. For XP11, we don't know for now. We are thinking how to do.
Let's be honest. I think we forgot about it, or we just never got around to thinking about it. I guess we will. Well, if you have something, I guess yes. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal to do it. So we will have to do
something. I think it will be for XP11.
So I guess the answer is there's going to be a rain effect, just not sure if it's live rain yet.
No, it probably is going to be just like it's now in 5, 7, 6, 7, 350, all of those planes. It's probably going to be the same way. So it's Librain plus some mud from me.
Okay.
I like the mud. I love the mud. Okay. So yeah.
All right. With the highly anticipated release of X-Plane 12 this year, hopefully, which airplanes can we expect to be released or made compatible first? The 777, the 787, or other existing aircraft first?
The plan is, and please hear my words specifically as they are, when X-Plane 12 is released into a real release, to have all the planes that are on the market from FlightFactor compatible with it. If we can do something before, so for a beta run, we'll try. But as always, we don't officially support X-Plane betas for a very, very simple reason. While the beta is running, people are filing bug reports. Laminar changes stuff, and we just have to, if we try to make it compatible with every version, like we did with X-Plane 11, I think, or 10, I remember doing 3 or 4 modifications again and again, because I would change something and then they would change it back, and I would change it back, and then they would change it further. And then it's like, so you just wait like a month and you do it once. But once X-Plane 12 ships, The plan is to have at that moment all of those planes compatible. Obviously, if we finish the 777 before that, and I'm actually hoping that X-Plane 12 will be out sooner, then obviously the 777 will be compatible as well.
So there's no real saying which airplane you guys have on radar to be compatible with X-Plane 12 first. It's just because that's the question.
Well,
is,
Roman says when our plans will be ideal, will be into real in ideal way, all
What?
our plans will be ready for XP12.
Even I didn't understand what you said. What is what? What is ideal way?
When we do our plans in ideal way, that's understandable.
No. I'm sorry. No.
Если дела пойдут идеально.
Да, скажи это сам.
Okay, if everything goes according to plan, if everything is in an ideal world, well, I can answer the question, Ben, you asked specifically. At the moment, we are running, we have remade the plane maker model for the engines and for the aerodynamics of 757-200 Pratt Whitney. That was the first one. And then we run it through our software, which we run to get the model from being almost correct to being really correct. And at the moment, the 757-200 Pratt Whitney is within 2% of accuracy of the Boeing data for X-Plane 12, and the Rolls-Royce is within 5%, and the 300s are being worked on this week. And when it's done, it's going to be the 767. So it's just one by one. But again, by the time we get to actual X-Plane 12 being final version, not beta, alpha, or whatever, we must have all of them. We should have all of them.
Okay. Any chance to see some ACJ or BBJ, excluding the C-32, in the future? So the ACJ.
Sure, if we just like
maybe...
with the C-32, why not? Again, just like with the C-32, if one of our 4 3D guys has, a gap between the stuff that he was, because mostly it's 3D. I mean, it's nothing. There's nothing to program there. So, if one of the 3D guys has some time, and yeah, why not? So I don't know. The Russian oligarch Abramovich bought himself a 787, I think, right? He's selling the 76 and he's bought the 78. And I saw some pictures leaked with looks like Sultan of Brunei plane. So I guess we need to make that. Like this.
Yes, that's a must.
I think it's the only private 787 or something. I don't know. I mean, crazy people with their planes, but sure, we could do that.
I used to work I still work for a airline company right now as a electrician, or aircraft electrician, and I was actually able to walk through the hangars in Hamburg, and there I was able to see a private 787, so BBJ basically version of the 787. And I'm not sure if it's the one you're talking about. It's like, I don't know where it came from, but it was greenish, like it was painted in green and white.
I've only seen the 767-300 of Abramovich. I've seen him actually taxi next to me here at our airport. I don't know why he came here, but I did see him here. But I never been inside or anything. Yeah, people are posting those things. Yeah, what is that? That's nice.
Okay, just remember, it's just can be. It's not our plans and not an order.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like this little eye candy that if Alex would be here, the 3D guy who is like our main 3D guy, he could say, "Oh yeah, I want to do that." But if he says I want to do that, and it takes me like a week to do it, sure, he can do it.
Okay. The next question now, these kind of questions are always normally the same. So I'm going to ask another question probably after that. The question is, are there any plans for a 767 V2? And I guess my question would be, if there are plans, I mean, probably there obviously will be at some point in the far future. But if there are plans, what's one thing you would consider changing already? Like, what's one big feature you would think you would change in a V2?
Well, yeah. So you answered your own question. So obviously, hopefully, we are all live and well. We like those planes. 75, for example, is my favorite aircraft. Well, almost. I mean, the triple probably takes precedence, but yeah. I mean, once those planes get old, at some point we'll make new versions, and life progresses. I guess every time we make a new version, we kind of bring all the technology that has been developed while this plane hasn't been updated. So we'll see how all this ground maintenance crazy stuff goes with the customers, and if they like it, then probably we'll bring that. And in terms of the plane itself, when we make a new version of the 5767, this is again going to be making the plane from scratch, because the architecture is different now. It's much more frame rate effective. I know on my computer at the moment, the frames on the 777, on the new one, are about 20 to 30% higher than they are on the 76, even though the 777 has more polygons, more code, more screens, but it's more effective. It's pretty more in a more optimized way. So to do all of those things, we would just have to rewrite the plane from scratch using the newer architecture. And obviously, doing that would mean redoing the systems with more knowledge. It's been 5 years since we did that. So basically everything. I mean, everything which is successful in one model obviously should go to the new one and to the new model.
In short summary, our plans for next version of 7.6 and 7.5 are the same as the difference between old 777 and 777 V2.
Okay.
Somebody in the chat is saying we need a glass cockpit for the 7.5 and 7.6. I'm sorry. We have.
I can answer.
I know what they want this.
Sure, because the LCD avionics, LCD screens for 7.5 and 7.6 is the same avionics, the same screen as for 787. So when we have done it for 787, sure, in next version of 7.6, 7.5, they're planned such display, such LCD system for new version of 7.6 and 7.5.
To be more precise for people. So the 757 and 767 are glass airplanes from the first version. They're actually glass because they have glass instruments. So the first version had an older type of glass, and the newer version has a PFD, which is a newer type of glass, and then there's modification on top of a modification where they took the 787.
No, Rom, it's 7.5 and 7.6 have original screens, and two variants of new.
Yes, so that's what I meant. But they're all glass.
One we have implemented, and one is the same as 787.
Yeah, sure, but it's the same answer. Almost the same answer as the usual question of a 767-400. Once the 777 is done, we'll look how much work it is, because it's kind of combining things.
So I guess Dennis should get a 7.5 or 7.67 type rating for the V2.
Dennis needs to get the PPL first.
Okay,
I have done one flight on a full flight simulator on the check as a first officer. Somebody was checking out as a captain, and he needed a first officer just to sit there and push the buttons. So I've done one flight on a 7.6 from the right seat. That was interesting.
All right, next question. Since FedEx, UPS, and many other freighter companies use heads-up display to ease the work of the pilots, together with three big avionics screens, they're flying these older design planes with up-to-date cockpits, a retrofitted it's called. Would we see such a thing, even more modern avionics and HUD? I mean, I guess the avionics we already just talked about, but I guess the next question would be the HUD in the 767, 75, 78, and 777.
First question is the same question as we already answered just
Yes.
above.
Yes.
So all stuff that related to avionics of 787 will be as option for new version for 7.5 and 7.6, including HUD as option with the LCD, avionics LCD screens. And HUD for 787, yes, sure. And as option, not on first release, absolutely sure, not on first release, but in some next updates for 777 V2, as option planned HUD for 777 V2.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the 777 will get a HUD for X-Plane 12.
It's very, I must to say, it's very rare option in real life for 777.
Well, it's very rare option to have the 787 screens in the 757. So, but yeah, I mean, technically, I think that the version which will be for X-Plane 12 only, that one will get the HUD because it's just so damn complicated to do it. I mean, if we wouldn't have the X-Plane 12, well, they have like this new technology. I'm not sure whether they have discussed this or not. Anyway, they have this new technology there that allows to make the HUD easier. So if we wouldn't get this technology, well, we would come up with a way to do it like 11. But seeing as we are getting it there anyway, and I mean everybody is at some point is going to be in X-Plane 12 anyway because life is going on. Hopefully, the GPUs become cheaper. Yeah, so I guess we'll do it for X-Plane 12 777. So for one of the updates, whenever we decide that we want to separate them.
Okay. Next question is, since whenever the FlightFactor 777 V2 shall release, will the V1 become freeware, or are there any plans with the V1 after that?
Well, it will either become freeware or it will just be discontinued. I'm not sure, but I don't think we're going to sell it because it's just old.
No.
Might become freeware, sure. I mean, the question of freeware is, well, that's what so we discontinued one of the old models, right? I think we had, well, at some point we had this IL-96. This was way before the first 777, and it became free. So yeah, I guess it will be free.
Maybe.
Yeah, we just haven't talked about it.
Or it will be free, or it will be discontinued as 757 version 1.
Yeah, that's correct. You're right. We don't have the version 1 as a free one, right?
Yeah, we don't.
Okay, yeah, I forgot about it. So yeah, it's unclear. We'll see what people want and what's logical. Okay. I mean, if you have a free model, you still need to make sure it works, and then you have to change it all the time. So you have to maintain it. And using the version 1 model as kind of a free demo for version 2 is a very bad idea because it's not the same quality, it's different age. Again, I'm not sure if people remember it, but the 777 version 1 was basically the first airliner, the first third-party airliner for X-Plane.
Okay. Next question is, what variant of the 787 is being made? And I'm guessing it's the -8.
What? No. Oh, no? The
7.8.
Are we announcing which one is coming first?
Yes, we said it, but I don't remember which one exactly.
Yeah, I think it's
we don't have in the frequency questions for it.
Yeah, I mean I think it was a 787-8.
Yeah, -8.
Okay. Let's do the freighter first.
Are there any progress? Is there any progress or any updates due for the A350 V2? And if so, how are they? Probably not in work or not being worked on.
Okay, so the yes, so the plan for the V2 is to get it. I don't want to say times. No, sorry, I'm not going to say it. So
No any times. No time.
Yeah, because also the 350 has been so unlucky with the timetables. So yes, we had some discussions about it a month ago or weeks ago. And so what will happen is once X-Plane 12 comes out and we are done at least with that, we know that everything is compatible. We are going to make update to version 1 with some nice stuff that we have or we have in the pipeline, say. And then after that, we are going to work on version 2, which will be basically a total remake of the plane. I can't promise it's going to be to the same level as 777. I'm not sure because that model has kind of its own history, and it's we called it advanced, and this one we called pro because there were differences. So we might not go into so much detail again because I'm not that familiar with the processes of the 350 because I haven't gone through everything. But it's going to be a total remake because it's old enough. I don't think that it will come out in this year. That I can say. I don't see it happening.
Is this a
So that's
FlightFactor?
why.
Sorry. The question would be: is this a FlightFactor exclusive product, or will this be also work with TOLUS? Unless this is something you can't say yet.
It's going to be the same construction as before.
Okay.
I'm going to say it like that.
Okay.
Again, this, as Dennis said, Airbuses have their own history, and they have their own lives, and they have their own paths.
Okay. Are there any plans on returning to the SSJ 100, as it deserves some love?
It does. It does. No, I don't think so. There is a team of people who approached us a while back and asked for permission to take over the project. And so what we did is we told them that they can have access to our, basically to everything. And I gave them the code and the 3D. And once they come out with something, basically we are going to discontinue this one and they are going to sell their own, which is based on ours. That's the way it's going to work. Again, if they manage to do it, because we are not controlling them, we are not. Basically, we are just support. We just say, okay, here's the code, here's the 3D, use it as you think, as you wish. If they are able to bring the project to some sort of a product, then we are going to endorse it and we're going to discontinue, and they can. Unfortunately, we are just the market, and we were just unable to do it. That basically doing those projects would mean to grow the teams more, and it's just becoming very difficult to control. So you just spend more time talking to people and not working actually. And I mean, and we, maybe me and Dennis are not able to. Well, maybe Valentin wants to do it. He can write code for SSJ. But no, it's a nice plane. I'm kind of disappointed in the real in its real life because I think they were not really able to provide the parts for international customers, and most international customers are no longer using it. It is it's widely used in Russia. It flies all the time, and they're making more of them. But it should have been an international thing, but it hasn't. It's a very nice plane.
SSJ 100 is a nice plane when it's flying.
Yeah, the supply chain. Yeah, but I've flown it as a passenger a couple of times. It's very nice.
Yeah, I too.
Is there any price range? Like, do we have a price range for the 777 V2? Will it be more expensive than?
No.
No,
No,
just no.
what? No, what? No more expensive. We don't know. No, we don't know
We
anything
don't
about
know.
that. I don't think it's going to be radical, but we don't know. We don't know. We will basically we are usually deciding this a week before we release.
Okay.
Depends on many things, especially depends on the inflation rates and all that stuff. We live in turbulent times, so
Especially depends on prices on new other product like Hot Start.
how much is it? It's expensive, right? It's over 100.
Yeah, over 100.
So no, it's actually okay. So Dennis is obviously correct that the market plays a role, but it doesn't mean because what you said now sounds like if he's charging more than 100, we should also. It doesn't mean that at all. We just do our own calculation. We decide what's best. I don't think we are. I mean, we might have been the most expensive at some point. I think about 7 years ago when we had all those extensions that grew up to $85 or something. At that point, a FlightFactor had the most expensive plan. But I don't think that since then we have been. There is no stigma, because we think we are the best. We have to be most expensive. No, we're just going to somehow decide what's the right price, and we want people to buy it. I mean, if you charge $300, no one will buy it. So.
I mean, I had an idea. So you just take the real cost of the airplane divided by 1,000,000, and then there you have your price. So a 777 V2 would cost $277.
Yeah, well.
No, I'm kidding.
We also have this professional license that the people can buy, and actually some do. I mean, we have not many, but we have some customers who bought it for professional use. But yeah.
Some time ago on our Discord, I created some pool about subscribe model.
Subscription model. Well, yeah.
Of buying models, and some people voted for this variant.
Well, actually, as a user, I would vote for it. I mean, most of the things that most of the digital products that I use are subscription, and it makes sense. I mean, if you pay a little all the time, it's an incentive for the producer, right, for the designer to continue work. So I'm actually surprised that most people wouldn't prefer a subscription model. But because I mean, as a designer, it doesn't really depend on it. We are still working on it. This is our full-time job, and we love it. But as a designer, I think I prefer a one payment model rather than a subscription model. But as a customer, I actually prefer the subscription. So, but again, it's not something the market is used to, and we are not going to introduce those things. So, yeah.
I'm just trying to, because we've been at it for 1.5 hours. I don't know how much time you still have. So I'm thinking if I should cut a few questions that have already been answered.
I'm leaving for.
When are you leaving, sir?
Trip. Well, probably tomorrow at 12. So in like 14 hours.
Oh, okay. Oh.
But I still have to get. Unbelievably, but I need to get the chains ready. I think that you Europeans no longer know what chains are, right?
You like restaurant chains or what do you mean?
No, you get chains that you can put around your tires.
Oh, yeah.
So
How
I have a couple.
How long for now we haven't been in the session?
1.5 hours.
1 hour?
No, I don't.
1.5.
I don't know, Ben, if you know this, but as part of my pilot training and all that flight instructor stuff, I've become an English proficiency examiner, which is something, in the States, the pilots don't need to be examined in English because it's assumed they know English anyway. But all over the world, pilots get those ECAL levels. So I've become an examiner. So I want to hit.
Don't make me red for my
I
English.
want to hit you. That's why I mentioned it. When you try to use 7 different tenses in one sentence, throw something. We need to do more of those sessions because so Dennis can get used to speaking English.
Yeah, good
Okay,
idea.
I think we can have another hour.
Okay.
Another hour. Okay.
I mean, I have time, so I'm okay. Okay, then I'll skip less questions that are important. So
Yeah, don't skip important stuff.
No. I mean, like, less important stuff. Okay. So I guess you've already talked about it, but maybe there's something else you'd like to mention. What is the primary goal when creating the V2 when compared to the current 777? Overall realism, looks, or something else?
What?
So I guess.
What
it's obvious that.
What about the question about core routes?
Oh, company. Oh, oops! I skipped that one on accident. Sorry. Will the company routes be on the 777 V2, and will it be easy to put in the route without worrying about your outdated ARIC cycle?
And the short answer, you won't. You should worry because your route should be created on the same ARIC cycle like the FMS have inside. Because, for example, magnetic variation is changing over time. So some runaway can change their number. So 22 for 225, and if you create your route from old ARAC cycle, for example, you will have runway 24, for example, but your FMS has newer ARAC cycle with the same runway with number 25. So such route cannot be loaded into the FMC.
But how?
Can you say that again?
I can say it again.
No, not you.
Okay.
Was it be understandable?
I understood it.
I understand.
Okay.
I guess.
Where's Jabab? He was supposed to be here.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's in the background, just looking out for comments and stuff.
Lurking.
Yeah, lurking. I guess to summarize it real quick is you can't use a company route from a different ARIC cycle. So if you have a older ARIC cycle for example in Simbrief, then what the 777 has, it's impossible normally to put in a company route because the ARIC cycle always updates. You have new waypoints, you have old waypoints that go away, and so sometimes the discrepancy does not allow you to use old company routes with new ARIC cycles or the other way around. So it will never be possible. Is that what you're trying to say, right, Dennis?
Yep.
Yeah, and it's also illegal. I mean, obviously it's a sim and you can do whatever you want, but if we're talking about realism, it's illegal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually illegal to. I I fly at Cessna. Sometimes when I update.
If your flight plan contains the points, the legs, and the etc. stuff, that's also contains in your ARIC cycle in the FMC, then probably you will be able to load it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
well, there's a reason why it's illegal. There is a reason why it's illegal because you may have the same points, and then it will load, but something has changed. Constraints have changed.
Yeah.
So that's why you shouldn't do it. I mean, again, it's a theme, so you can say, yeah, I want. But
so the right way to do it's always create your flight plan on the same ARIC cycle as you have in the FMC.
All right, that's settled. I guess the first part of the question though was is company route, which I'm sure it will be, is company route implemented, and how far does it go? Like, does it communicate with ACARS? Or will it communicate with Simbrief, for example? I guess these are also some questions that people would ask.
Yes, we plan to implement such CPDLC/ACARS feature, and you will be able to uplink flight plans from Simbrief.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Because it hasn't been done yet. So we actually started working on the whole CPDLC thing a couple of weeks ago.
That's why I said this is our plans.
Mm-hmm. So the question I asked before was, what is a primary goal when creating a V2 compared to the 777? I mean, I think we already know this answer.
Well, again, the primary difference, and obviously it's prettier, it has deeper systems, it has more precise everything, but the primary difference is that the kind of the thought behind every feature and the way it's built is learning. It's like again, we obviously will try to pitch it to actual 142 schools, and maybe we'll be successful because it's something that schools need and so forth. But the thought is still there. Even if it stays only in X-plane for regular users and no professional use, it's always I'm always thinking about it. What would be a teaching tool, the best teaching tool, if you would want to become a pilot?
Okay. Next question is, how detailed will the FMS be? I guess maybe there's an example you can give of something nobody would ever know about the FMC, maybe. I don't know.
The FMC is the same as the whole plane in our plans to be the level of FCOM and CBT. So if you can do something and see something in the cockpit or read something in FCOM and CBT, we will try to implement it in airplane and FMC.
Okay. We already asked that question. Eventually, the question is, will the 777 have the whole family? I mean, eventually, probably.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yeah,
or at least almost.
And the next question would be, will the 777 be study level? Now, I think this is based off of interpretation, depending on who says what study level even means, because study level is not a defined thing. How do you see it?
What people don't realize is that if you look at the real study level sim, so full flight simulator certified, the ones that you see in training centers where pilots get their type rating, those are in terms of features, they're quite specific. So they are very precise. Well, okay, let's be correct. In order to certify, you need to get a certain number of things close enough to some lines that are set. So in aerodynamics, there is a number of maneuvers which you have to perform, and the maneuvers have to be within a certain margin of the baseline. And the same thing for systems. So system has to behave in those couple of in this list of. I'm sorry. 1 second. I have to. Okay, I'm sorry. My son has. Otherwise, he'll break the door eventually. So there is a list of things, of situations where the sim has to perform according to those graphs and so forth. Between those things, those simulators don't perform at all. So a very simple example: the sim that was used to teach me for a type rating had 4 airports, and only procedure for 4 airports. So when over New York, they said, okay, double engine failure, find an airport. I said, oh, Teterboro. I said, no, find another one. This is why? Oh, we don't find it. So it's the actual study level sims they are different. They're very specific in specific areas, the ones where pilots need to train, and they might be totally crazy in different places. Won't be able to do something which is seen, which version 1 can do. Because again, usually they even if you perform a full flight on a full flight sim, like from takeoff to landing, like you do when you do your base training or your whatever they call it, it's still a very specific flight. It's still a flight like we did from New York to Boston through those points. You can't choose different points because it's not certified for different. It's certified for this route. So in that sense, you don't want a study level sim, right? You want something whole that you can use in at least in situations which you come up with, rather than those that have been written. In the sense of giving you a full experience, that's what I've been talking about for 2 hours. At every stage, we're trying to give you the full experience, including things like let's get the fuel tested, or I'm sure you have seen the tag, yes, that we've made. So some people say, why do you need it? We have others. Well, yeah, but again, we're still making a model without an assumption that you have something else. So all our models, I think even the version 1, had a tag which you can use. And this time we went a little bit further, and you can actually control the tag, and you can ride around the plane in the tag. And then when I started, actually my son was riding around the plane in the tag, being very happy. And then what happens if he goes to the gear? And 4 hours later, we have a collision model, so you can ride around in this thing and hit the gear will collapse, the plane will fall, everything will be very bad. And the guy in the truck will, which I think very nicely. Again, if you don't like it, don't use it. You don't have to. It's just something which is there. Just if you want to get that extra experience of what's going on around the plane, the communication between the pilot and the and he can forget the pin. And if you don't ask him to show you the pin, he might forget it, and then you will take off, and then you get the gear failure and so forth.
Okay. Note to self: don't forget pin.
Well, you do the procedures. If you
Yes.
do everything according to the procedures, it's pretty hard to break the plane. I mean, I had this idea. I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, that if you forget things, bad things should happen to you. But Dennis always reminds me that users are not always. They don't always want the maximum experience, and then so they don't crash all the time, something like that. So if you forget something, then yes, well, something will happen. But I don't think we have a scenario where you forget some of those additional features, like you forget. Well, if you forget the pin, yeah, you won't be able to pull the gear up, obviously. But if you forget to tell them go away before I start the engine, none of them will actually go into the engine and explode and die and all of that stuff. So they will just be unhappy. They will run away, and then they will tell you, "Oh, what are you doing? You are very bad person."
Okay. Very cool. Will the 777V2 have an EFB iPad? I mean, the short answer would be yes, it does have an EFB.
It has an EFB, no iPad.
No iPad. So yeah, I guess that's it. I have a question on the 320. We are building a home cockpit. I'm a developer, and I did a workaround in order to have 2 Sidesticks working properly. But will you support it, as explained, add support for multiple inputs? Will you add the proper priority by keeping the button pressed 40 seconds and summing up both inputs like in real life? And also an update on the terrain radar. When will that happen?
Well, June.
Should I ask again?
First of all, I want to tell about terrain radar. We have this in plans, and we have it's in high priority. We already have I already have a prototype of this, but we haven't implemented. But yes, we will definitely make it in one of the nearest releases. About home cockpits. Yes, we have such task about 2 Sidesticks, and for now we have a place in architecture to implement this, but this was made only for one Sidestick, and we haven't implemented Sidestick priorities in the controllers, but we have such task as well. So I think if it will be востребовано, как? If users will ask this, and if this will be important for for next explain, we will make this.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. Next question is, will I be able to hide the default ground services in the settings of the 777V2 and 787 if I want to use ground handling deluxe instead from jar design?
Yeah, you don't have to use it. I mean, there are, well, generally there are 5 types of maintenance that you can choose, where the least, what do you call it? The first one, the least what? So the first one is no maintenance is ever required. So if no maintenance is ever required, and then you choose, right. So if no maintenance is ever required, you don't need any of the ground vehicles because you never need any services. Now what you still need is you need the fuel, and you need the passengers and the cargo and the catering. So those are 4 things you need. And at the moment so there is a button there which says just load them. It's called, I think, simultaneous instant loading or something like that. And what it will do, it will just load it. So it won't care about whether you have the bus or the stairs or anything, or the doors open. So if you use that, then yes, you don't need to think about any of that. Yeah. So So I guess in this scenario, you won't get the ability to load over time, so that you have the process of loading. And if many users ask for it, I'll think about how to do that. The problem that it kind of goes against the current, because to have the process, you actually need all the parts. So you need to communicate with the ground people and communicate with the purser, and open the door, and then the process goes on. So to have the process, you kind of need the parts. So to have the
Yes.
process without the parts would be some external timer that just says, okay, now I'm going to load it. So yes, so the short answer is yes. You can go without any of that, including all the CG stuff. So there is an option in the EFB which allows you to simply say what the zero fuel weight of the plane is, and then it will. So you can't choose your CG, but you can choose your zero fuel weight, and then you can go into the CG, and it will generate a scenario of weights and people and weight and cargo which fits the zero fuel weight, and then you can kind of move it around and get your CG. So yeah, you can go without using any of the ground, any of the communication, and you can turn off the assistance of the first officer, which, by the way, we have not talked about it. Because if there is a question about it, I'll be happy to discuss it more. But there's this whole system where the first officer is working with you, so you can turn him off and just don't communicate with anybody, so they won't. They won't. So it will be like they're not there. So yes, you can go without all of those features.
In other words, by our plans, you will be able to use third-party ground services, but in such case, we cannot guarantee realistic workflow, realistic feelings.
Well, yeah, because so for example, for our maintenance and all of those processes, there are 4 or 5 so 5 options. One is don't use anything, and on the other side of the spectrum, you have use everything by hand. So that basically means that you are a pilot, but you're also basically the ground guy or the engineer that checks the plane, because you have to go look somewhere for is there enough water in the toilets, right? Or is there enough, I don't know, something else, oil in the engine, right? And you can, by the way, do that in 2 ways. You can do it in a real way, like most engineers do. Well, oil in the engine, no, they do this by looking at the engine because there is no one way. But most things can be viewed through the cockpit. The maintenance displays. You can go to the CDU, turn on the maintenance displays, and then you will have some information about things which the pilot doesn't have to see. So all kind of liquids and pressures and filters and stuff like that. Or you can imitate the going by legs there and looking. So you just go to EFB and you look there. So there's this option where you do everything by yourself. And then there are 3 options in the middle. One of them which says, okay, it's all automatic, but it will be done. So when the filter in the air filter in the APU goes bad, while you're on the ground, the captain will call for the appropriate action, and they will come and put the leather there, and it will take some time, and they will change it, and they'll say, okay, change the filter. So it will still happen, but you don't have to think about it. And then there are 2 more options which allow you to do this semi-manually by saying, okay, let's do the maintenance on the engine, and then they change everything that they need to change, but you don't have to do the specific thing. So I try to make as many options as possible to fit every possible user wish. I want to participate, I don't want to participate, but obviously integrating third-party equipment with all those processes, that's not something we can do. So if you want to use you want to use the pushback from Sasko, or you want to use the JARS ground vehicles, you can use them. You can try kind of combining them if you want, but I can't test all of those scenarios and make them work because it's impossible.
So I guess, I mean, to me, it sounds nicer to use the things that are integrated, because, I mean, obviously you see what's going on, it's live, and it's all integrated perfectly. Now the question is, I think I know why people use Ground Handling Deluxe. The reason is because the 3D models of them are very highly accurate, and they're very well done, and they have really nice animations, as well as you can choose the different, liveries or whatever you want to call them, different skins. So the question is, the Ground Handling Deluxe, or the Ground Handling that you guys implement in your new V2 and 787, are they the same models as in previous versions of different aircraft, or are they completely remodeled?
No, they're new. I think most they might have reused something, but they're repainted and they're new. So for example, what I don't know what Ground Handling Deluxe does, but
it only adds the 3D model. Like, it's only an animation. It does nothing else except animate a vehicle driving up to the car.
But for example, do they ride around the airplane that they come from somewhere?
No.
Connect. So yeah, it's the same thing here. So I thought about it, but I realized that I can't do it. So okay, I can do it, but then they will end up driving through something that Austin put there, and so forth. So they just appear. So that's kind of for me personally, that's a turn off. Thing just appears here, but can't do anything. Some of them are animated. Some are not, because, like, for instance, when you lower the catering, so this thing appears near the plane, but then it goes up and it opens. And we might update those things, because it's just, again, the idea is not to supersede every third-party developer in every sense. And okay, if somebody uses pushback from Sasko, let's make a better pushback. So we're trying to make the best we can to fit the plane. So I guess the pushback, well, I'm sure the pushback from Sasko, whatever the thing is called, I've used it myself. It's very nice. It can do things that our pushback can't do. On the other hand, our pushback, you can drive it around. If you like it, you can do it. And then you can, again, I made it mostly for the communication between the pilot and the guy in the truck, because that's part of this new thing. Because I want to show all the communication. At the moment, we have pre-recorded sound. Unfortunately, generating sounds on the fly is impossible. Well, again, maybe not impossible, but it's something beyond what we can do now. So we are pre-recording sounds. At the moment, I think we have 5,500 pre-recorded sounds in the plane.
Okay. Have you
Those
guys...
are all the phrases that they can say to each other and so forth.
Okay. Have you guys heard of GSX? Do you guys know what GSX is in the prepared or FSX scenario?
Dennis, do you know what it is?
GSX?
Yes, I know about this. About the question.
So the question is, I guess the next question would be actually is if FlightFactor maybe would expand their horizons and perhaps create a plugin for ground services similar to GSX, where you can request ground services for any payway aircraft and load passengers in real time, and it will actually load the payload into the third-party aircraft. So if there's a plan to maybe make a plugin capable of this.
We thought about it, at least me.
Yeah, we can do.
We
could do that.
But
Yeah.
it's not in our plan for the very moment.
I guess we could do that because, I mean, unless you're conflicting with someone, it's just in the end loading the plane is just loading, just writing a couple of data. The whole process. Again, you see, with the 777, because the model is our model, we can do all kinds of interesting things. So again, you can choose what kind of people are there, from what standard, what are their weights. You can distribute. Well, man, you can choose your seats. It took the 3D guys were so unhappy, it's unbelievable. Because when we started, I said, look, let me program it, and then we'll see if you have to implement it in 3D, because it seems very difficult. It's unclear how to do. So I'll implement it, and maybe we'll just leave the cabin as is, because you don't go there much, but you will still have the weights and the AFB stuff. But then somehow, everybody went along with the craziness, and now indeed we have a fully configurable 3D model of the cabin where you can swap all those seats. Now you can't do this stuff with a third-party plane.
Yeah.
So what you can do is, you can have those vehicles appear, and you can have the process. You might also have like this woman talking to you and saying, "Why are we trying to load the plane?" What was it? Yeah. So if you ask her to load the plane, but you don't put any passenger in, she will say, "What do you want me to do? What do you want me to load? I have nothing to load. It's empty." Stuff like that. But I'm sure we could do that at some point. Again, it's a question of time.
Yeah. Yeah, the way, I guess I can explain just really quickly. The way GSX works is it uses config files. So for airports and for airplanes, so the vehicles know where they start off of and how they're going to get to the plane. So the fuel truck will come obviously from the tanks from the airport, and the buses will come from a different place, and all the other vehicles will come from a different place. And that's how that works.
Well, I understand there are many airports. Again, it's something we can do. Obviously, we are able to do that. Yes. But the question is, will we?
We will not. I wish. It's not in our plans to do some things like GSX for prepared 3D.
But then,
we have no enough time for this for the very, very moment.
Dennis is very stressed out.
I'm sorry, Dennis.
No, yeah, he's stressed because he feels that he is behind the schedule, which is correct. He is.
All right. Will there be a PDC/CPDLC function coming in the future? I guess the question goes to every aircraft, but I'll just keep it at that.
Yes, we plan to implement CPDLC future for 777 V2 and next new versions, new projects. We plan to support several online network like iWow, WhatSim, Pilot H, and
Copy.
Postcon. Oh yes, Hoppy for sure.
Mhm. Okay.
That's all plans. Let's see what we will be able to do.
The guy who is in charge of doing this part is missing today from the chat. We can't ask him.
Oh, Roman, you changed the microphone. Microphone.
Actually, my earpods they're out of battery because we have been
Nice.
epic.
Now you sound very better.
Yes.
I sound way better now.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
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 Interesting.
I guess we're a bit far from it, but the question is, how can one be selected for beta testing if you guys are considering hiring new beta testers, so to speak?
So the way it's going to work is alpha is going to be pilots only, and beta is going to be public.
Not for sure.
For sure, but
maybe we will have some short beta run, private beta run, and maybe we will hire some private beta tester from our Discord. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, this is probably a question for Valentine. Why not include more features into the 320, such as IAE/NEO engines and systems? You guys have other aircrafts with more than one engine. It'd be great to see more than one in the 320. No, I know this answer, but just in case. Go ahead.
Because the philosophy of the this plane is deepest implementation of all systems, so we can just add these engines because adding these engines will affect on every system in the aircraft. It's flight wiring computers in the, I think it's autopilots, it's many things. So this is a very complex and very complicated work, and we can just add these 3D models. Besides, we need the model of this engine. It's physical model of this engines we need, because it's how this plane work. Even if we add these engines, we call this EIA or NEO, it's besides we need to remake ECAM displays and its effects on different buses and so on. So it's not a very easy job. So we prefer to complete the tasks we promised, first of all.
Okay. Will there be some information provided to help the user understand how all of these options work that we just talked about for the new aircraft?
That's a great question, as our friend from Laminar likes to say. Yeah, that has to be right, but I have no idea how to do that. We will see. Maybe we'll ask Ben to write a manual.
That's our favorite argument, me with Roman. I said this very hard to understand, Roman. Make it simpler to users. Roman said, no, it's okay. They are smart.
I mean, I think it'd be best. I mean, obviously, documentation is always good, and I mean, if you guys would like me to do it, I guess I could. The question is, or unless you meant somebody else, I'm different, Ben.
I meant you. No, I meant you.
Okay, I think what people would like to do, which I'm sure I could do too, is make a video about all the different options. How I know, yeah. Anyways, I mean, it is a possibility to make a video then on these options before the product is released, before it's released, maybe, that I could, have a week or so to check these all out.
Yeah, you definitely can. Yeah, I mean, I think the manual, something on paper, something in with letters on black letters on white screens is going to be anyway. And I was planning to ask you whether you can do it. But yeah, I think that at some point I am going to maybe I'm going to make some videos. My accent is not as nice as yours, but I would like to show again mostly not the flight version, but all this preparation and all this stuff. Yeah, so there will be obviously yes, probably both videos and documentation.
Yeah, guys, prepare to learn, because it's hard even to me. That stuff that Roman is developing, that MCC stuff, ground handling procedures, and etc.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm trying to again, mostly if you make mistakes in this process. Well, if you remember the 777 version 1, people had problems with to load the plane, you needed to do the obvious things. Well, obvious to me and obvious when you think about it, but apparently not so obvious to everybody, that you have to open the door and, call for the bus and then put the stairs there and then call for the fuel truck.
And the mine not understandable by the most people, you should push enter key after you enter some areas into fuel and passenger.
This discussion we have been having with Dennis for I don't know 7 years. Dennis says that it's counterintuitive that when you enter a number into a field, you have to push enter, and for me it's kind of intuitive. But anyway, what happened in that plane is that there wasn't an obvious way to understand what's missing. So now there are a lot of buttons in the AFB that which call for those things or other, and then those buttons have tooltips. And moreover, more than the tooltips, if you actually push the button which is inactive, the person who is responsible for the service, so it might be either the ground personnel or the cabin crew, they will tell you why it's inactive. So if you push load passengers and you have 0 passengers to load, she will tell you, Captain, whom should I load? And if you have the doors closed, she was like, Captain, how are they going to get in? And so there is a lot of things, and actually because there is a lot of interaction and a lot of things that can go wrong, I can't think of them all. So what I'm planning to do is asking all the FlightFactor team, to take the plane at some point and go do crazy shit with it. And then when you are able to do something stupid and no one stops you, or at least tries to write a report and say, okay, I drove the plane into a ditch and no one told me about it. And then I'm going to think, is there a way for this monitoring system which controls all those people around, is there a way to prevent this? Right? So, for example, if you try to start the engine while the ground personnel is there, I'm not going to stop you because you are in control of the plane, but the first officer will say, oh, Captain, are you sure you want to start the engines? Look, there are people there. So the idea is to just do all the bad stuff, and then we'll see whether we can stop you by those people noticing.
Okay, so
then
oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that we would, so that the FlightFactor team, the whole FlightFactor team would test this. Do you mean just the alpha testers? So you guys, just the developers, or do you mean also your beta testers?
Well, the alpha testers probably, yes. They're real pilots. They're not going to do bad things to the plane.
Obviously, no. Okay.
Did you drink again? Okay, that's a good. No, I'm just reading the comments.
Oh. All right. So how are you going to do sounds? Are you going to work with someone like FTSim, if you know who they are, to have the best sounds possible, or who is responsible for sounds?
This is it. So are you going to work with that specific team to make the best sounds, or are you going just not to make the best sounds? Right?
Basically, no. I mean, I guess they're just asking how are the sounds going to be developed and who is responsible for it? And
So here there are basically two parts to this. So part one is the technology, is the actual backbone, how the sounds are going to work. So we used to work with a system called OpenAL, which was built into Sassel. It was actually built on the X-Plane as well, but we used our own. And we had our own code which ran all of these things. So now we have moved to F mode. So we are using F mode, but we are not using the F mode like X-Plane usually does. We are using it directly, and that enables us to make much more sounds and much more versatile stuff. Because if you want to make 5,000 events in F mode, is going and then write 5,000 lines in the X-Plane file which connects F mode, it's going to take you a while. So we have been able to do that automatically, from code by connecting F mode directly. So the guy who is responsible for that is Alex. He is sleeping now because he thinks he's an owl and not a person.
He is just waking up and
Yes.
right to Skype.
And I mean, yes. Well, he lives in Moscow. So he's actually supposed to be almost going to sleep, but he lives in this other world. Anyway, so he's responsible for this. And in terms of sounds themselves, we have most of the sounds of the aircraft we have recorded from the real plane. And in terms of engine sounds and creating those, the creative process with sounds, we are cooperating with somebody. I'm not sure whether we are disclosing this. We just have to talk to him. That's why I'm not going to say who it is. But we are using somebody who is a sound professional. So it's the actual sounds are not being made by one of us.
okay. Yep, that would answer the question. Perfect. I'm seeing a lot of questions that have already been answered, so just give me a little bit of time. So, I mean, I think you guys are working, the 777 V2 is being worked on from scratch. So everything is from scratch, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the question with a new VNAV for 777 V2 is, yes, there is a new VNAV, right?
Yes.
There isn't yet, huh?
just copy and paste the old code. No. So you guys already answered this, but I guess maybe there's a different way of answering it, just so people understand it better. Is the 777 V2 will the 777 V2 and the 787 have support for Simbrief imports? Yes, as well as weight configs.
Yes, I answered above. The plan is to have uplink to Simbrief for flight plans.
Okay.
Yeah, so the plan means it's not done yet,
Yes.
but it is being worked on right now.
Okay. Do you guys also make it possible for the tail, so the rudder of the 777 and 787, to turn with the wind? So if it's parked, that it will respond to wind? I don't know if the 777 actually does this, but I know in the A320 or in the Airbuses, the rudder will turn left or right depending on the wind, and then will stay in that position.
Look, I have not done that. When I was working on all of this stuff, I haven't done that. Probably does, but this thing, it's a double rudder on the 777. It's a double rudder, which is almost 5 meters? No, 3.5 meters long. Quite big. I'm just thinking, what kind of wind do you need to turn it? But probably it does. Yeah, if I don't forget, I'll do that. That's 10 minutes of work. Yeah, but it's pretty huge. I mean, when you do on the 777, when you do a flight control check, so when before you taxi, usually the captain does the flight control check. So you are supposed to take all the controls, and it's supposed to take you 6 seconds to go from 0 position to the maximum position. So You have to slowly move all the controls. And when you move the rudder pedals, they teach you to move them from 0 to maximum in 6 seconds, then back in 6 seconds, and then wait a bit and then move them the other way. Why? Because if you do this, if you move it one way and then the other way, while you are standing on the ground, what you're basically doing is you're moving third of the mass of the tail, about 40 degrees, with the lower part being twice the degrees. You are moving this thing both ways, and it's so huge that it actually shifts the tail of the plane just from inertia. Now, in the air, if you do that, you actually can break the plane, and that, well, not on the triple, but that happened in play. I don't remember the exact accident, but there was an accident where the captain moved the rudder 3 times opposite sides to the maximum, and it actually tore off.
Yeah, the A300, I think, from American Airlines.
Yes, so. Correct. And then so you need to do this quite slowly, and on the ground, what happens? It shifts the tail. And on the 300, when you are standing on the ground, the difference between the tail and the point on the ground where the airplane sits, which is the main gear, is about 35 meters. So when this thing shifts, if there is a stewardess standing in the last aisle, you can easily hit her head on the wall. Huh. So they actually teach you not to do it, because on the ground you won't break it because there is no wind. There's nothing bad will happen. But if somebody's standing there, they will fall down because it shifts the whole tail. It's so huge that I'm just thinking, what kind of wind do you need to? But yeah, I mean, you can do something like that. That's a very specific thing. If somebody writes this thing down somewhere, I'll probably do that.
Okay. Next question. Will the 787 and 777 V2, so I'm not sure if you guys already know the answer to this, work fine with any additional costs when porting it over to X-Plane 12? So basically the question is, will there be any additional fees?
No, for the 777 and 787, definitely not.
Okay.
Definitely not. The planes are being developed directly for both 11 and 12, just like 9 and 10 was for. I don't even think we charged anything for 11, did we? But no, definitely not. It's. I mean, no. At this point in time, anything we develop is going to be for both sims for the same amount of money. If you buy it for both.
Okay. And I'm assuming for the 7.6 and 7.5 V2, it depends on how much work there needs to be done, or?
Exactly. Well, I can safely say right now that the compatibility fix, which we are doing now, is going to be 99% free. Again, it's not sure, but I think mostly yes, because it is some work, but it's not major. Once we come up with an update, like a big update, which is X-Plane 12 specific. So we add features for X-Plane 12 which were not possible X-Plane 12. Then we are going to consider whether it's going to be a payware or a free upgrade.
Let's say thank you to Valentin. Have to go.
Because it's 3:00 at night where he is?
Because his wife is sick and.
Oh God. Okay. And it is probably like 3:00 at night already, right?
Oh, maybe, yeah.
I think he's like 5 hours in front of us.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you,
and
Valentin.
I just got a message from Alex saying that he has crawled out of bed. Yeah, I think we need to kind of wrap this up because I am getting tired and I do need to pack up my kids for the trip.
There's pretty much only one question that I have here that is not in the Q&A or sorry, not in an FAQ. So the question is, will there be an autosave for CTD, etc., for all the aircraft, specifically 78 and 777?
We'll try. It's the question is if we can do it. It shouldn't bother you, right? You shouldn't feel that the plane is being saved. So if we can pull it off, then yeah. At the moment, there's a save feature, which saves all the important things. So it doesn't save everything, but you are able to reload the flight basically in the same way it was. Autosave, we need to work on it, because I think that if we try to do it now by brute force, it's going to be a jitter in the sim, which is unacceptable.
Okay. And that's, I believe, all the questions, because everything else has already been answered or is in the FAQ.
Roman, it's your hour of hero. Will there be a Copilot feature like Aerosol that can allow the FO, flight first officer, to automatically handle checklists and manipulate switches?
Okay, so hour of hero. That's yes. I don't know what you tried. You tried a Russian idiom or an English idiom or something. Glory, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
No one seems to be interested in it, and I think, well, the poll showed that it's the least interested feature for the users. And I don't know what other companies have. I truly don't. I make a point of not knowing. So the question was like somebody. I didn't hear who. So I don't know if the feature is going to be like somebody, but what we have at the moment, and at this very moment, I'm working on it right now, this week. So at the moment we have a Copilot which is able to do the following things. So when we say we have a Copilot, I don't mean a 3D model. I actually would like one, but Dennis is really opposed to it because they all look horrible, he says. And then it's disconcerting when this dummy is sitting right next to you or something. So we have the spirit of Copilot. So the spirit of Copilot is able to do the following things. It's able to monitor the things that you are doing and point out your mistakes, like let's not start the engine. Doors are open, people are embarking. It's able to provide tooltips to everything manipulatable in the cockpit, which is 1,000 different things. So you can go into the manual, you can go, you can read the tooltip, you can ask him, and he will tell you about it. He's able to read checklists, so he will provide the, when you read checklists, there is it's a call and response. I'm sorry, I'm getting tired. I started forgetting words. So it's challenge response system. So he's able to provide the challenge for all the checklists. And then there are procedures. Now the 777, as basically most Boeings, has, I think, about 500 different procedures in the QRH. And obviously, there is absolutely no way that we'll be able to integrate all of them into the Copilot by any time, to tell you the truth. It's quite complicated. At the moment, all the standard procedures have been implemented. So that means that you can call for any of the standard list of procedures. And the list is, again, if you're familiar with it, the way usually it's drawn is from the pre-flight to secure. You have a list of things which consecutively you have to do. And in between each two, basically, you have a checklist. So we do the pre-flight procedure, me and him, and then we do the pre-flight checklist. And then we do a before start or before start procedure, and then we do before start checklist. And this is the way it works. So all of those at the moment have been implemented, and you have several ways of doing it, including the real way, when you ask for the procedure by unfortunately pushing a button because don't have any other way, and then the first officer will do the things that he has to do and will ask for things that you have to do. He will also vocalize everything that he is doing, and there is an option whether you want him to tell you the things that he checks which are okay, or only the things which he actually has to do. Just because it's pretty long list. I mean, if he reads everything, like you do in school, when you are taught that you have to go through the whole overhead, and you have to, in theory, the pilot has to do it. You have to touch every button and say, okay, this button is off and guarded. This button is on and unguarded. This is the so you can either have him read everything or just the thing that he has to change. And that all those procedures include things like takeoff or engine start, where you will say, okay, left engine start, and he will go and push the start, and he will monitor what he needs to monitor, and he will say, we have pressure in the right duct, and you will say check. Again, the system will check, and the captain's voice will say check. So, for instance, in the start procedure, the only thing that you have to do as a captain is you have to check things, and then you have to lift the fuel cutoff. So this is exactly what you have to do here. He will do everything else, and the checks are also provided automatically by your voice, but you actually have to push the lever to open the fuel. And for takeoff, for example, it's the same thing. We have adopted basically the system from United, because every airline has its own checklist and procedures, and some have a 80 knot call out, some have a 100 knot call out. Boeing has this minimal thing which they recommend as a minimal, and then airlines add. So we took something from United and then we changed it a bit. So there is the procedure is kind of our own, but it's very similar to United. United has this 100 knot call out, which is weird to me. So we have the 80. But again, you take off and he's checking whatever he needs to check, and you are doing whatever you need to do, and you can hear, if you do it correctly, you hear all the stuff. Now the big question is non-normals. So at the moment, the only non-normals we have is if you actually pull the levers back, the captain will say reject, and then the procedure will end. But the idea is that by the time the plane comes out, we should have at least the basic non-normal procedures. So obviously V1 cuts, flame outs, rejected takeoff before 80 knots, above 80 knots. And the difference with the 80 knots, if somebody doesn't know, is the RTO, the auto braking, is not available before 80 knots. Obviously V1 cut, it's when we have a flame out or the engine failure after V1, so we actually take off. Aborted engine starts, probably hydraulic failures. So the most important failures, we should have the non-normals performed by this first officer in the real way. So basically he does what he's supposed to do and he tells you about it. Those procedures can also be triggered automatically. So if you forget, then at some point, so for example, if you roll into the runway and you push the levers forward, the procedure will start automatically. So it will start kind of late, but it will, because there is no way to know what's in your head. So unless you push the button, and there is this button that says next procedure, the idea is that the user just puts it on a keyboard, and there is a list of procedures on the right in the top corner. So you just, you are ready to take off. So you just click it, next one, and then there is the procedure. Procedure ends, you push like a real pilot, you push the button for checklist, and the checklist pops up, and then you hear the captain saying, okay, after takeoff checklist, and the first officer reads it, and he says complete, you say check, and you close it. So for the non-normals, we'll do what we can, but there is hundreds of them, and they're very obscure, and it's really not easy to do some of them because they really depend on exact circumstances. So the idea is that this thing should work in all normal cases and in the documented non-normal cases. So if you go do something crazy, then yeah, I mean, if you do something that is not possible to do in real life or never has been done, then the system might break or it won't work. But if you do the regular non-normals, the engine quits and so forth, then the first officer will help you and he will do everything he needs to do. Yes, this is my hour of glory. I'm very proud of the system. And Dennis says I won't be able to finish it. I'm going to prove him wrong.
I'm very excited because I
I
use
will,
something
I will
called.
be happy if I will be wrong.
What you will do? What
I
will
will
you do?
be happy if
Oh, you'll be happy if
I
you're wrong.
I will be wrong.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Sure. Sure.
I think one more question because actually we never mentioned this before. So last question for today. Shared flight compatibility. Will that
Oh, wait.
be?
I don't know.
Because that seems like a lot of.
You answered.
It's very not simple question. In our priority, it has a very low priority for the very moment. I believe we will think closer at this after the release, because our new architecture is very different from the standard for explain. We almost don't use the data refs. All the code is runs inside our code inside our plane, and the only thing we publish to data refs is cockpit input. It might be not enough to make shared flight correctly, but we will think about this for sure, but little bit later, I believe.
Okay. Well, that concludes all the questions, I would say. Is there anything else you guys would like to mention?
No, I think we yeah, I think they know everything we know at the moment.
Are there any questions you wish were asked that you would like to talk about?
Let me a moment.
Let you a moment. Okay. I let you.
So no?
I believe no.
Okay. Well, then that is it. Thank you guys so much for thank you so much for answering the questions and being very precise about it. Definitely.
Thank you guys to listening it, and thank you Ben to host it.
Yeah, no problem. And yeah, thank you for everybody who's here. Obviously, it's all recorded, so it will all probably pop up on the FlightFactor YouTube channel in the coming days. Yeah. So if there's anything you guys missed, it will all be in a video, and you guys can watch it through. If you guys would like to watch 2.5 hours full of questions and answers.
Well, next time we need to do this with video. I mean, I don't think I look very nice right now because I'm tired, but still it would be better because
Yes.
listening to someone without, I'm not Joe Rogan, but still.
Yes.
They can watch it at 1.5 speed.
Yeah, that's a good idea. 1.5 speed. Yeah, and then next time we'll definitely plan see what else we can do differently. If there are any suggestions, obviously by the community, they can let us know and see what they want, and we can try to make it real.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Have a good one.
Bye bye.
Bye.